Once and for all, let's settle the score on who is the better cornbot. In this video, I will try to go into the nitty-gritty details of each Orokin robot, and we'll try to give you the things you need to know on the strengths and weaknesses of each cornbot. Okay, let's begin. Before we head to any details, by the way, I would like to say that this video may be subjective as I based it on my experience playing both cornbot. If you feel that I'm wrong with something, or I missed any details, then feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. But rest assured that everything you see and hear on this video is based on factual experience and not some theory crafting. So first of all, how do you determine who is the better cornbot? Honestly, I haven't put any specific criteria on this cornbot video, as both of them are somewhat unique and they excel differently from each other. They may both structurally similar when it comes to mobility, but they differ in stats and play style. Bonewidow is more of a melee-oriented cornbot, while Voidrig is more towards long-range gameplay. They also differ in stat values and abilities obviously, and each of their kits determines their identity. Bonewidow is more of a cornbot intended for solo plays, because a mean max builds for this bot will allow you to dish out some good melee punishment with her exalted Iron Bride, while having enough survivability to take heavy hits with the help of her meat hook ability. You could say that her strongest feat against Voidrig is she can heal herself without the help of any outside sources, like the combat discipline mod. Bonewidow is more of a hybrid cornbot wherein she can be good at everything, playstyle wise, but she can't be particularly great at one thing. This cornbot is more likely to be loved by those who prefer melee combat, and loves the idea of solo gameplay wherein you can both survive and dish out good damage at the same time. On the other hand, Voidrig is more of a glass cannon type. His guard mode ability allows you to dish out insane damage to an area without any problem. The animation may be slow, but once Voidrig is set up, his fourth ability deals massive damage to anything within his sight. In fact, a well-optimized Arcbex can have more than 200k total damage, and this is where I can say Voidrig is far superior to Bonewidow. The only downside is, he got no reliable source of survivability. Storm Shroud can indeed help you survive, but it's not that reliable in high-level content, or those missions which have enemies over level 100. You would definitely recast the ability over and over again, which is a waste of energy, and we don't want that while using Voidrig, since we need as much energy as possible to keep our fourth ability active. This is another downside for Voidrig if we compare him with Bonewidow. The melee cornbot's exalted Iron Blade is more energy efficient than this bot's Arcbex, and the gap gets wider since Bonewidow can efficiently use the new Rage mod for cornbots. This allows her to constantly regain energy, and it's pretty reliable since you can replenish her lost health with meat hook. Skill-wise, Bonewidow is more attractive since she got some advantage over Voidrig. However, this proves to be true when we talk about usability. The hard truth is, Voidrig is more useful than Bonewidow since he can do some missions efficiently and effectively. Both cornbots can indeed be good in the Orphix Venom event, but Voidrig has a very slight advantage when it comes to getting as many Facix cells for the team since his fourth ability can kill armored Orphix, and as well as other factions in the event like those Sentients easily and quickly. However, the gap between Voidrig and Bonewidow widens if we talk about other missions. As you all know, cornbots can be used only in open world areas, and the present Operation Orphix Venom event. I have said earlier that Voidrig has a slight advantage over Bonewidow in the event, but when it comes to other missions that these cornbots can do, Bonewidow becomes useless, and this is where people who are shouting to buff Bonewidow is right. Well, I'm not talking about Orb Mother fights here, because honestly, both of them sucks at this. Both Bonewidow and Voidrig are unusable in Profit Taker fights, since they can't take down the legs of the Orb Mother as great as the Beast Chroma can do. They are also pointless to use in Exploiter Orb fight since you will need a lot of mobility to gather thermal fractures. Ghost is definitely enough for this mission, and you won't need any help from these Orokin relics. However, Voidrig is quite good in both Eidolon hunting and isolation vaults, wherein Bonewidow seems to be useless in these fights, since she can't take down the limbs of the Eidolons, and she can't even make good hits against enemy cornbots in isolation vaults. This is where Voidrig excels, making Bonewidow a bystander. If you want to do Eidolon hunts, without investing that much on Ravens, and mean max builds for your frames, just to get the maximum damage to Eidolons, then all you need to do is use Voidrig. His Arcbex can destroy Eidolons faster than mobs cosplaying as animals raiding the White House. He is also good in isolation vaults, and can take down his fellow Cornbot easily with his 4th ability. Although it would take several hits to take down the arms of the enemy Cornbots in isolation vault, still, it is way better compared to Bonewidow. You just sit and fire Arcbex until the Cornbot dies with Voidrig, while you will have a tough time taking it down with Bonewidow even with the help of Nova's molecular prime slowing its movement. To be honest, I find the 2 Cornbots good since they offer unique gameplay to the players. However, if we really use them in real missions, we will find out that Voidrig is more superior compared to Bonewidow. The usability of Voidrig on both idle and hunts and isolation vaults, not to mention that he can also destroy or fix in this event faster, makes him the better Cornbot than Bonewidow. It's good smacking Grineers, Corpus, or even infested with your big stick. But mobs aren't greater than mini bosses, they are still mobs, and taking out big bosses, in my opinion, makes it more worth it than just swinging your melee weapon against trash mobs. I'm just hoping that Digital Extremes will somehow make Bonewidow usable for other missions like idle and hunts and isolation vaults. But then again, it's good to see sometimes that melee weapons are not that superior compared to guns. It's a good change of pace having to kill enemies with guns than the usual melee stick. By the way, I've included all the Cornbot builds at the end of this video, but if you want a more detailed guide on each Cornbots, then I also included the links to my Voidrig and Bonewidow guides at the pinned comment below. Also, for those who requested my Vault Fashion frame, then I also included it after the Cornbot builds. In my next video, I will give a shout out to some of the people who are commenting on this video. I will try my best this year to make the community lively again, and I thank you all for sticking with me through thick and thin. Again, thank you so much. Squad Leader signing off.
This is the future. Human error. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.